I meant to make this a while ago, but I took a big old walk, and then we got burritos and pork belly tacos, and they were delicious. Delicious. If you're ever in the Ashland area of Kentucky, check out Suplex Tacos. They rock. Anyway, shameless plug for people who don't know I'm doing it for them. You're welcome. So my players got a little treasure trove of magic items and lost a few magic items to a trap getting into the room. So, win some, win some. But one of the items had no definition in the game, right? There's no reference to Belt of Speed anywhere. But of Speed does exist as a suffix to boots. So that's what I went with. Belt of Speed is the same thing as Boots of Speed. Players dug it. Let's look at some other stuff, and I made rulings. I made that's what this game's about. Being a DM's about making rulings, making judgment calls. I am not changing the literal thing for cleave. I'm just going to do it as a burst of extra attacks. But with the suffixes on the weapons of throwing, since it's magical, I'm not going to apply range modifiers to handheld weapons. I'm also stripping handheld weapons of point blank bonus. Point blank only applies to mechanical or device-driven missile weapons, thus making device-propelled missile weapons superior to throwing a rock or chucking a spear. I find it ridiculous that at 5 to 15 foot range of an item that can only have a range of 30 feet, you get +1 to hit for damage. I think it's dumb. I'm not doing it. I made a ruling. Bam! I need a gavel. Actually, I have a gavel. Where's my gavel? I think my grandson took my gavel. But anyway. Yeah, that was the ruling. Then I started looking at, I make a card, an info card, on the characters, a little folder for the VTT for players so they can reference what a magic item does, so we don't have to look it up in the middle of the session. That way an item that has multifunctions or is complicated, they can just look at it and share the handout. This is what it does. And I usually make rulings on items. And the suffix thing's important to me. There was a coif that just said +2 of protection, but it just said gave you AC bonus. But of protection is saves and AC. So I ruled when that one came in the campaign, of protection, you get the saving throw bonus too. So of throwing, dwarven thrower, and returning is all at short range. You throw it, you don't have to worry about adjusting for medium range or long range, because it's magic. Give it a little extra oomph, a little extra pizzazz, some zazzle, you know what I'm saying? And then I was looking, I had to make some rulings on some other items. The folding boat of flying has a different miles per hour from Highfell to the Dragonslayer core book. So I ruled in the most pleasurable favor of the players, 25 miles versus 5 miles, which makes 5 hexes a day airborne to get back and forth to the dungeon, which means they can return to Thatcham on the daily. So they're excited about that, even though I'm down to 4 players. I am debating about maybe recruiting a 5th since I got one guy on hiatus, but I know something the party doesn't. So they could fill that hole with an NPC from in-game if they make the right choices. Otherwise, fuck them. The other one I did, I saw that there was some. I went ahead and made a ruling before it came up in the party. I made it to where avenues of fire for fired into melee. If you got a clear shot and there's no one on the other side and they're off to the right and left, if you roll 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of hitting a party member, you just miss. That way they can maneuver for these avenues of fire, and instead of always just firing into melee, because it seems a little top. It's a 20% chance to nail a party member. That's pretty stiff, and we have a lot of people who don't mind doing it. But now they can maneuver and not worry about it. It's not as bad, right? So with the throwing hammer and throwing axe, probably going to come up a little more. But I saw there was of accuracy, of seeking, and homing, right? As suffixes. Therefore, those magic items, as a ruling, do not suffer that chance to hit a party member when thrown into melee. It seems weird that fire a crossbow of accuracy, magical accuracy, and then shoot a party member. It's not being very accurate. I can see missing, but it's just, you get around that, right? So I'm playing it for beer and pretzels, kicking it up. We've done less in-town NPC stuff. It's been more pure dungeon crawl and hijinks in the dungeon here lately, and the party seems to be enjoying it. So we'll keep doing that. So those are a few little rulings I made to Dragonslayer recently. I haven't been talking about it. I've been reading up on Savage Swords, and but my main focus for my regular 2 games I run is Dragonslayer RPG. So that's what I make videos about. About being a better DM, what I do at my table. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't. Want to argue about it, go fuck yourself. But have fun with your game. We're all going to customize our games to our tables and to our taste. Everywhere. That was the original vision. 1,000 different versions of AD&D, 1,000 different versions of the little beige books, 1,000 different versions of DX. Customize it. Make it your own. Transmogrify it into something new and interesting. You got your raw crowd. You can play raw table. There's no problem with that. But I also don't see a problem with customizing stuff to where it's almost unrecognizable to the original product. Make it your own. Have fun with it. As long as you and your guys are having a blast and you see what works, you might discover something that leads to something that other people find interesting and makes someone else's table a little bit better, a little bit more fun, a little bit more on the raucous side. Zazang! You know what I'm saying? I think that's all I got. Some rulings on magic items. I'm thinking about going through the magic item list and just making some rulings ahead of time so I don't run into headaches later on. I made another ruling with the robe of Sin colors. Like spells that you cast in your party, they don't affect your party. And it makes them more dangerous if they affect everybody, right? If you want to play with your magic that lethal, then you turn your illusionist into someone who's more likely to charm your party. That sleep spell's putting all your hirelings to sleep and then leaving the goblins and the hobgoblins alone. If you make it that way, you've got some rough consequences coming towards you. And we're here just to have a couple of laughs and have some fun. So I made it party friendly. So the Cinderlane color is just not meant to bedazzle your party, therefore it doesn't. I mean, it's a quick and easy ruling. It's more in the flair of BX than it is, say, AD&D Live, which I make the argument. Dragonslayer is inspired by advanced Dungeons & Dragons and those mechanics of the golden era of the TSR and not the BX. You can disagree with me. I don't care. Game well, game often. Have a blast. Have fun, y'all. Later.